Hey everybody, so this is the stuff that you need to make a simple cymatics kit. You get yourself 99-cent store, little containers like this. The bottom half will be for the speaker, top half will be for the pans. And then you're going to get yourself a little sandpaper. You're going to sand these things. And then this is a lid to a water bottle. And then this is a lid to a 1-gallon container. And this is a little lid from like a spray bottle or something that I found that fits around the speaker. And then you're going to need either a frequency generator or an app, a frequency generator app with Bluetooth speaker. This Bluetooth speaker I already took a little screen off of. So there's that. And you see this little speaker and the little round part there that we have to attach to. So we're going to take this little lid thing here, and what I use is super glue gel. And it's important to use the gel because the super glue will drive too fast and it won't allow good contact. This will allow a little bit of play. Normally what you want to do is level this off, level your speaker off, level everything off. But we're just gonna put it on there as level as possible. It ain't gonna make a real huge difference for this size little viewer. So then we take this was from the 99-cent store, and we're gonna use the lid as the pan. And we got that sanded, and then we're gonna take the lid of the other one, and we're gonna put some glue right here on the thing all the way around. It's kind of hard. I'm doing this by looking into the camera, so hopefully I get some glue on there. And then we're going to attach that as centered as possible. That looks pretty good. It is pretty much better to try to get it centered. So now we have the lid and the attachment. We'll do the same thing to the other pans. And this is just, you can really use any kind of containers or anything you want to try out. That's how I started. I started by just using things around the house. I find that these 1-gallon container lids work the best for music and high frequencies. Anything over 50 to 200 hertz or so is going to look pretty decent in this one. And the one smaller water bottle ones, they seem to work better for music and higher frequencies up to about 400 hertz. So there we go. There's our 3 little pans for our viewer. And then we need a ring light. You get this for your clamps on your phone, like right up on over the camera. So we'll get one of those. This is about $10. I found this speaker at the Big Lots, like a cheap store. These frequencies generators went up in price. They used to be about $30 and they went up to about $50 now. But they make a different kind without so many attachments for about $25 again. So that's this one. It basically works the same. So now we need to attach the little fitting onto the speaker part. And you can, as long as you get this above the speaker area, you're good. You don't want anything too big, like to touch the out part. You just want to basically cover that inside ring, So we put that. And a lot of times after I'm doing this stuff, I'll actually not super glue, but hot glue my fittings and things like that. I'll put a little hot glue around here, not on my new stuff, but on these ones I did, because it's kind of got this little angle thing right there. So I'd put a little tiny hot glue seal on there, and it ain't gonna come off. So now we have the speaker with the attachment and frequency generators all set up. So now we just need some water and some food coloring, which is right here. And we'll just use this one right here. Hopefully it's dry enough. Still not dry all the way, but and we just screw that on right there. Add a little tiny bit of water in there. We add food coloring because it allows the light to reflect off the surface much brighter and make crisper, like a crisp image. If you do use your hand, you're going to end up getting blue fingers or red fingers, so be careful of that. We turn on our frequency generator. That's hopefully still working, and it is. And we're at 10 hertz right here. This thing keeps on resetting. So we change our thing to hertz, change that to 0, and we can go up in frequency. Let's go to like 27 hertz real fast. And then I'm going to pop my phone off here and put this little light over the camera as much as I can. It's not that good because I got a case on my phone. So I popped the lens off of this light. So we'll turn off the above light. And the basic idea is to get that little, you see this little center part? We want to get that perfectly centered. We don't want something like that. We want something more like this. And the higher you go, the better the light. See how I went higher and I'm able to get more rings? But if I move it off to the side, I got to angle it. See that? That's not centered. You want it centered right there. And then you're going to adjust the volume just a tiny bit. So it's kind of hard. I should have this on my tripod. But we're going to turn this up. If I go higher, you'll get a little bit better imagery. This frequency is definitely kind of a weird one. Let's get more of a stable one. Something like this is cool. 24 hertz. So we want that light centered again. I could tell that there's a tad bit too much water in here, and I'm holding this light too close because it makes the image thicker. If I were to take out some of the water, so let me hold my phone up here, zoom in a little, and hopefully our light's kind of centered. We'll take out some of this water. See how much our light's off there? It needs to be way over here. So the higher we go, the less light hitting the water can make a way more crisp image. A lot of my images are multi-layered lights. In other words, I would have lights like this, where my light setup has a bunch of lights. So this is one light, this is another light that has 4 or 5 lights inside of it, all controllable separately here. So separate, 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 and then that's separate. And then you control the levels of them. You can't just turn them on bright. A lot of things have to be controlled levels of light. But if you just want a regular thing, you can just use a ring light and you just zoom in, set it up on a tripod, and like I said, the higher you go, the more detail you can get out of the image. That's about as far as I can zoom in. But it gets a little more detail. See, the edges have more detail. Center does. If you were to take some pictures, kind of zoom in. We'll try some other frequencies. See, you can see that that's kind of starting to get too high of a frequency. And we can change our pan, and we'll change it to the bigger size pan here. And we'll add more food coloring. You could see like how much volume is going. The water is really moving around a lot. You don't want that. If your water is jumbling around like that, you're going to get a lot of just chaos. So you've got to really turn that down. Center your light again. You could spend more time detailing the light when you have a tripod and it's very much centered like perfectly. I could see that this frequency is a little too high for this pan, so we're going to turn it down. And you see how the edging is kind of weird? You definitely want to try to get rid of some of that. I didn't add enough food coloring, so you see that the light is reflecting off the bottom of the pan, kind of because this is a silver pan, so it's creating a lot of problems for the image. Plus, I don't like how I had to add that stabilizer up in the air. That sometimes can be an issue if things become off balance or something. Plus, I'm moving the table around that it's on. So if you're getting stuff like this, it's just too loud. You really want to be working right around here. It's hard because it happens real fast, and the images won't always last that long, see? Because you got to get just the right volume. Now if I change this light and dim it down, this light can kind of dim a little. And we go down back to 24 hertz, which was in the other pan. It totally is acting differently. So obviously, I gotta turn this down. Once again, I feel like there's too much water in the pan, and that's very common for people to put too much fluid in there, and then that fluid becomes, you know, it just makes the waves too big. So we have to go back and take out some of the fluid. Adding water is like turning up the volume. Taking the water out is like turning down the volume. You see there's a little more stabilization now. Get that light centered again. I don't like how you can't see you see through the pan like that. It's just not a good thing, you know, you really gotta have a dark surface. That's why with a bubble you gotta have a piece of cloth or something on there to make it work properly. The darker the water, the more crisp the image will look. See, you can still see the pan underneath there. You see how much more reflection I can get now? Just by changing the color of the water. If I raise this light carefully, get a little more detail. See, if you're off, that's what's going to happen. And you center it, you get more detail. You lift it, you're going to get more detail. See that? We're about like literally like almost 3 feet above the pan now. So with your lighting with really good detailed imagery, it definitely requires you to have way more height on the light. See the lights off right there? Want it right there somewhere perfectly. See up here how much more details? Now watch. Not so much detail, see? I mean, you're getting closer and you're getting a more visualization of everything. Get the lights off. You don't have your light centered. It makes it all weird looking. That's just moving the camera just a little tiny bit. Now we come way up here. This is why I use microscope cameras. Microscope cameras can zoom in with their lenses up to like 3 or 4 feet. So you can get some really crisp imagery. If I turn down the light setting in my phone, you can see that I'll get a little more detail. And that's the same thing with your camera when you're going to film it or take pictures. So you need to set not just your LEDs up, you need to set the lighting in your camera up correctly too, according to the LEDs. So it's pretty much that simple. I mean, I make elaborate ones with all the fancy pans and the lighting and the frequency generator, everything, you know. But if you want to just test it out yourself and you wanted to make a simple one, see how close we are and all the image looks like kind of like that's about as detailed as you're going to be able to get when you're that close. That's why it has to be far away. Thing that the people don't understand because they've seen like the cinescope and all these other types of rigs set up with the lights really close to the water. And this is what's going to happen. Your image is going to get like folded over. It's not going to stand out correctly because too much light is penetrating, becomes like a lens. So the closer you are, the wider the light gets. The farther you are, the thinner the light gets, making for more details of the image itself. We're at 18 hertz here. 17, 16. You can see the nice sun pattern. So if I kind of go up here and hold it, zoom in, and I get way more detail. If I control the light on my phone, again, we're going to get more detail. Now, if I take pictures with this, it's not going to look as good as the images on my other cameras that I've been using, because I've been using 4K cameras. They're not expensive. You can order cheap ones from AliExpress. They're knockoffs of Sony's and stuff. They work really good. I don't know, here's the camera that I've been using right here. So it's not even, it's nothing like that crazy of a camera, you see. It doesn't even have a name on it. It just, you know, it's just a simple HDMI camera. And then I buy these lenses separately because a lot of times the cameras don't come with a lens. So you have to buy this camera lens right here, works great. This is what I've been using lately. And that's just hooked up into my TV. So when I can see what I'm doing, and then I can adjust all my lighting and basically get more detailed imagery. Going lower down to 12 hertz. 11 hertz. Funny how some of these lower frequencies will do cool stuff if you raise the volume up and you get the water balanced right. The water will fold over each other, lifting up the images. So you really want to start off with just a low volume and then just work your way up tiny bits, adjusting it. I mean, I'm using such low volume here. This is why the misconception of needing a bass speaker or some fancy equipment or anything like that is just, you just want to have fun and you just want to take pictures and you just want to get some basic imageries and try to learn it without spending any money. This is what I did. This is how I started, you know. I didn't even actually have this good of stuff. Like, I would have been blown away if I actually made this when I first started, because the stuff I made when I first started was super primitive and it didn't work out so well. And you can get a free download a free app, a frequency generator app, but then you're going to need another camera. So you'd have to use the frequency generator app for the phone, through the phone, and then you have to use the other thing for you recording, like a camera or something. So this is 10 hertz. You can see that you can't really use that crazy of high frequencies. If I go higher, like if I go, like, let's take this just to show you. This is 50 hertz. See how much more 50 hertz is fractaled out? Its image is right there. It's harder to see. If I start going higher, some patterns will show up in the very center like that, but you need your light way high to get the detail. There's one. You see how many more rings there are in the center? Like this frequency will probably show. Mostly you're going to get a lot of stuff like this. All the little fractals, and what's happening is everything is duplicating itself. There, that center point, you see that little cross symbol, that little pop-up? That's generally it, and then see, now we got the stabilization of it. But it's such a delicate situation, it won't stay. This is 68 hertz. So 68 hertz on, you know, this 2-inch little container here. I need to go to a smaller containment size, like something like the water bottle cap. And I can use 68 hertz in this. I don't think it was a good idea to use that little riser pad down there. As closer as to the speaker as you can get, the better, but not like so close that your pan's gonna hit that, you know, because then it's going to be an issue with trying to figure out, you know, like this is okay because this is so tiny, but if you wanted to do something with like that larger pan, it can start to move around. This is still 68 hertz. You see that cross symbol is the pattern. You turn it up, cross pattern usually will go to like a weird 8-sided kind of thing. If I turn the frequency up, So you go back and you try to get these little rings right there. Such a delicate amount of volume you need. Not a lot. We go higher. It's a little more difficult to see without zooming in. And you may need to turn up your light if you're going to go higher. I think that's as high as it goes. So that's 80 hertz. There's 85. And get closer to it. Get a little more centered, balanced light. 89, 90. This is 101. Go up to 108, which is octave of 432. If you go too loud, you're just going to get this. Gotta turn that thing down. So that's pretty much it. Either a frequency generator or a frequency generator app, simple Bluetooth speaker, some super glue gel, some food coloring, water, a couple containments, like a water bottle thing, and a 1 gallon container lid, some pans from the 99-cent store from Lids. The bigger you go, the lower the frequencies. The higher you go with frequencies, the smaller you go in the containment. That's why I make so many different sizes down to 5 millimeters. So my pan sizes go from 5 millimeters all the way up to 300 millimeters for testing different frequencies and different things. Get the light too close, it's just not going to show you very much at all. Show you cool stuff though. When you look at it at an angle, you see little waves. Looks like terrain, little mountains. So yeah, that's a little setup that you can make and try this stuff out. I've done lots of videos like this before. I just took them all down. People are kind of crazy. So that's how you do it, guys.